Robinson Show.
Hey, it's Josh Daniels.
How you doing, Josh?
What's going on, Josh?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Not much.
man.
Just doing our show, brother. You're an actor and former pro wrestler from New York and New Jersey, correct?
Yes, as per my Twitter, yes, I am.
I know. I wanted to ask, how long did you wrestle for? Like nearly a decade, right?
Over a decade. I
Wow.
started, let's see. I probably started training summer of 2000.
Okay.
And then, let's see. And then I went to Japan like summer 2003.
Wow.
On and off for about a year. And then, on and off in the indies and some WWE stuff, like extra stuff.
That's awesome.
And
I was gonna
I
ask.
stopped, when was my last match? June 1st, 2013 was my last match.
Why did you stop?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. I had kind of become, the whole thing had kind of become like a burden to me in a way. And it's a very long-winded story. Maybe I'll write a book one day, but it just wasn't enjoyable
Okay.
for me anymore.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
the reasons why I got into it and all the joy that I had gotten from it up
weren't
until
there
then
anymore.
was like slowly starting to deteriorate away. And then what happened was I got really badly injured in a match down in Maryland. And just some shit went on. I'm sorry. Can I curse on this?
Absolutely.
Yes, dude. Yes.
Say whatever the fuck you gotta
sure?
fucking say. You can fuck it up all the
Okay,
fuck you
good.
want. Shit,
Yeah, no,
man.
because I get a shitty mouth, and sometimes
Yeah.
it comes out. So I just wanted to make sure.
Yes.
We're into the radio.
So some so some shit went on like after the match. Nothing bad, but just stuff that really was just like, you know what? I don't think I want to do this anymore.
Okay.
And then I had surgery. I had surgery on my bicep. So I'm sitting there like at my computer, and I was actually staying at my parents because you can't do anything. So I'm like getting help, or you help me get up and whatever.
Wow.
It was pretty pathetic. So all I had was pills and a computer. And
Yes.
I started to think to myself, like, do I really want to do this for the rest of my life? Because,
Yeah.
if you'd asked me like 2 or 3 years ago, I would have been like, yeah, I want to be like Fitz Finley and just being a grimy, grungy motherfucker killing everybody at like 50 years old. And then that injury happened.
Yeah.
The injury happened, and I was like, you know what? I don't think I want to do this. And it was like, all right, well, why did I get into this? And that just kind of started, the snowball effect of like, all right, well, like half the reason why I got into wrestling is because I always had this performance bone, this gene in my body since I was like 2 or 3 years old.
Yes.
And I remember like, my dad had a camcorder. And I'd watch movies, and I'd want to make the movies. I'd make my own.
Yeah.
Whether it was Indiana Jones or Batman or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
And that just, you kind of go back to it. And I was like, you know what? I think I want to take an acting class. And that was it. I mean, that started a whole nother snowball that hasn't stopped.
Is that when you got into acting after wrestling?
Well, here's the thing. I was kind of doing both for like a couple of years. So I was finishing up a lot of commitments that I had after I was like cleared for my injury.
Okay.
So I was down in Maryland, I was down in Delaware, a couple of shots here in Jersey, and I wanted to finish that up. But at the same time, like, I had gotten a manager, and I'm going into New York all the time, and I booked like, a couple of gigs of my own, and then some paying gigs and some really cool stuff. And I was like, you know what? I'm done. I think I'm done.
Yeah.
So
wow.
I was wrestling for, at that time, it was pretty much just Maryland and Delaware companies, Maryland Championship Wrestling and ECWA. And I went up to him and I was just like, listen, I got to be done. It's just not, it's not for me anymore. I'm not getting the creative joy that I used to get out of it.
Yeah.
And I was getting it with acting, and I still do. So
Cool. Yeah, I was gonna say, because you seem like a success as far as it went. Like like you said, over a decade. Like that seems successful to me.
Yeah, it was. I mean, my thing was, when I first started training, they asked, like, so what are your goals? And I said, I knew right away. I said, I want to take this as far as I can for as long as I can.
Yeah.
And I think I did. I mean, I'm not the biggest guy. I'm about 5'7", and WWE's, not at the time, those say like 8 years ago or whatever, was not looking at guys, at 5'7", and I had a good relationship with them. I've always had a good relationship, but my talk was, it was, I'd do a show and when somebody from the WWE, like, talent, talent relations guy would be there, and he'd say, listen, they'd pull me aside and they'd listen, if you were 4 inches taller, if you were 5 inches taller, you were 6 inches taller, you'd be making $500,000 a year on the road. But, you know, just at what you are right now, it's just not. That's a quote, too. That's a quote.
Wow, yes.
And there's nothing you can do about that. There's nothing you can do.
No, there's nothing. But that's still a terrible.
It had to make you feel shitty, right?
Yeah,
like because like part of you had to be like, what surgery do I gotta get done to make myself taller?
Yeah. Give me a little extra
You know what?
shit.
It's funny you say that, because that was actually, you know, a quote from another one. It was, you know, one of the guys that I'm actually I still see from time to time. And he said, you know, if there was a surgery to make you 6 inches taller, man, get it, because you'd have a fucking job right now.
Wow.
But
were you ever like, what if I just go in with stilts? Would that be okay?
Well, you know, you get lifts. I got lifts. I got lifts in my boots, and they were so awkward. They were hurting my knees. I gave them to a good friend of mine.
Wow.
But I got lifts in my boots. You get like 2-3 inches in the boots. I got used to that. You do what you can. You change your gear up to make you appear a little bit taller. You do some physical things, like the way you move in the ring to so people aren't like looking at how short or how tall, or, you know, that height deficit or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But, you know, like I said, there's nothing you can do. You know, time came and went.
It's such bullshit to me, because like, what happened to the underdog story? I want to see this little dude beat up the big guy. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Where's
David
the
and
other
Goliath.
Well,
Yes.
you know, I mean, go watch Jack Swagger's, you know, debut match, his TV match, and that's me being that, you know, getting the crap kicked out of me. That's your underdog for me. So, yeah, I mean, it's just what they want, and that business is like any business, but that business especially is constantly changing.
Yeah, I was gonna say yes.
Like, you know, like say like 10 years ago, it was like, all right, well, now they're looking at guys that are only 6 feet tall and above. Now it's only 6'4" and above. Well, no, if you're 6 feet tall, but you got to be over 200 pounds. If you're under 200 pounds, you know, it was just like the criteria for what they interest them at the time was ever changing, and it still is.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
You said you wrestled in New Jersey.
I've wrestled all over. I mean, I wrestled in Japan when I was 23, 24. I've wrestled all over New Jersey for
awesome.
Probably every company that's been in New Jersey.
Because I was wondering, because like when I was younger, in like the early 2000s, my uncle was bringing me to the local schools. We're in Tuckerton, New Jersey. Had you ever been to Tuckerton, New Jersey?
It sounds familiar, but I can't. I don't think. I mean, you have to tell me the promotion.
I don't know.
That would be,
all I know is that
like,
there was this dude called the Sharp Dressed Man. And I don't know if that rings a bell.
Sorry,
I remember going to like
no.
they would hold him at like local schools, and the Superfly, what was that guy?
Superfly Snooker.
Yeah, he would show
I
up there.
remember. I used to show
and that clown.
go to events at like just the Bernadette schools and had like Bob Backlund and stuff.
Our
like,
buddy Donnie used to wrestle in those too.
Wow, yeah, there were always local shows around.
You don't know him, but yeah.
Donnie who?
What did he go by? He was something. He's a redhead. He's got like a big red beard and a red hair. But his what is his name? Donnie
Ashburn or something.
I don't know.
Albert?
Yeah, Albert.
I've been hitting the head a few times, so maybe I met him and I just forgot. I don't know.
He had some silly name they gave him based on the fact that he had red hair and a red beard.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes. Yeah.
I was gonna ask Josh, did you wrestle as Josh Daniels or did you have a different name?
I did. I've gone by a few, but I mean, I would say about 80-90% of the time it was Josh Daniels. And the reason for that is I couldn't think of a better friggin' name.
It's hard,
Well,
yeah.
you know, what do you want to do? And I was like, you know what? Fuck it.
Yeah.
Let me just go by Josh Daniels. You know, because at the time I was kind of keeping it a secret from like, I was in college at the time, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. If they find out, they find out. Eventually, they found out.
Yeah.
And then I had a few other like, I guess, monikers or whatever. I mean, when I was in Japan for 01, the owner, the boss, Hashimoto, I had sideburns at the time because those were kind of in style, and he was a big Elvis fan. They wanted to they saddled me with an Elvis sort of character.
Cool.
And at the time, I mean, Chris Hamrick will still text me from time to time, like getting on my case about it. you know, at the time I was too young and I was too stubborn. Knowing what I know now, I'd fucking make a killing with that thing. But it just wasn't meant to be. And then I was a letterman for a little bit, and then, you know, I kind of adopted the American Psycho Pat Bateman thing towards the end there. And then I saw it on TV with Cody Rhodes, and I was like, all right, well, obviously that's not going to work. So let's just have fun while the ride's still lasts.
While it's still lasting, yeah. How as far as acting goes, I watched some of your reels, and it seems like you as a majority of roles get like cop roles. Is that accurate?
Yeah, like I always say, I was in an audition today, and I was telling the guy sitting next to me, I was like, yeah, man, you just take what you can get, but that's how you're seen. And I'm you know, people are like, oh, well, you're typecast.
That's what I was wondering.
With that.
Is that
totally
cool?
Fine with that. I get brought. I'll tell you something. I get brought in for the cop roles, you know, SWAT guys, spec ops, and then like the young dad, the young goofy dad, for a lot. And so, but you know, I mean, at this point, I'll take whatever I can get, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I like being in a room. I love being on set. Love being on camera. Love the entire creative process and the teamwork that goes and all the shit that goes into it.
Yeah, like behind the scenes, even like off camera. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you?
So it's
Oh, I'm sorry.
Good.
I was gonna ask, do you have a lot of cop friends or any family members that are cops? Like, is that something like?
Let's see. I mean, I've known a few cops. Two of my wrestling coaches in high school were cops, or corrections officers, or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
Let me see. An ex-girlfriend, her brother is or was a cop. I've been around some cops. I guess her current ex-girlfriend, her current husband is a cop. But it's just, I mean, I've been around him. I see him.
Yeah,
you know,
I didn't know if you were just
friends that are.
If it was that, or if you were just
cops
badass from Jersey.
Sorry.
No, I was just thinking like this from being Jersey, you're kind of badass.
No, I mean I've had my issues with the cops. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, me too.
That's another reason why I got into acting too. But
get out of trouble. Yeah.
Well, no, not exactly. I got arrested. This was probably, I think this was like 2011 before my injury. And I was thinking to myself after I got it, I was like, if I need to get a different job and somebody does a background check, who the fuck is going to hire me? And I looked at, I was online and I'm all, Percocet it up and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. What about this guy? Dennis Quaid, Robert Downey Jr., who's amazing, and blah blah.
Yes.
Wait a minute, you can be a fucking delinquent and still be acting. I was like, oh, this is fucking great. This is amazing. This is meant to be.
Yeah. Oh, Robert Downey was in trouble for a while. I used to love the badass Robert Downey. Pulled over with coke.
I need to tell you something about him, man. I don't get starstruck.
Yeah.
I really don't. But if I met him, man, it'd be a fucking dream come true. He's just like his entire, not just his acting and his abilities, but like just his story, like how he started and then how he hit bottom. And now, I mean, look at him. He's, make $20-30 million a picture. He's the, most bankable guy in Hollywood. He carries Marvel on his fucking shoulders.
Yeah.
So it's to me, it's really just like his, he never gave up. He knows what he's good at. Yeah. And he just, hit bottom, did a picture or two for like $100 a day, coming where he came from.
Yeah.
And now he's, where he is. He's an inspiration. So
yeah.
What an amazing thing too, because like Iron Man was like nobody gave a fuck about Iron Man when he was in comics. So for Robert Downey Jr. to take this character Iron Man that nobody gave a fuck about and turn him into like you said, he carries Marvel on his shoulders now. Like they rewrote the Iron Man in the comic books to match up with Robert Downey Jr.
Did they really?
Something else.
Oh
absolutely. If you read any current Marvel, like the Tony Stark it's Robert Downey Jr. Like that's his mannerisms and everything. Yeah, that's something amazing because again, like I said, like nobody gave a fuck about Iron Man. Like who fucks Iron Man? Where's Spider-Man?
Exactly.
I want to ask you too, Josh. Is there any upcoming projects you have that you could talk about?
You know what? It's just a lot of auditioning, man. A lot of auditioning. I've been pretty busy with like commercial and voiceover like auditions and work lately. In terms of like what you would call like theatrical or like legit stuff, I guess, like TV and film. You get the auditions here and there, but I haven't booked anything, unfortunately. It's just, I guess the timing is not right or role's not right or whatever. I've been out for some really, really cool stuff, for some pretty significant roles that end up going with some bigger names, but there's nothing you can do about that. Yeah. Like I said, I'm happy to be working, whether it's commercial stuff or voiceover stuff, which is phenomenal. If you can get voiceover work, it's fucking amazing.
What would be? I was just gonna ask, just as a dude, like, what's the best way to get into that kind of thing? Voice acting,
voiceover work.
Yeah,
have a really, really soothing, nice voice. Yeah. No. Cool. I don't know. It's one of those things that one of my managers, all of a sudden I started getting like voiceover auditions, and whether it was like self-taping or if it was self-recording or if it was like in a room in a booth. And I for a while I didn't even have like any like voice samples. I guess they would see my reel, or I get pitched really well. And cool. It would just get called in, and then suddenly I booked like an ESPN thing, and I booked a Amazon thing, or a whatever that is, the Alexa thing or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
I booked that, and then getting called in for all sorts of stuff. And a lot of stuff you'll see on TV recently. That I went out for a lot of that stuff. It's very, very, very hard to get, but if you can get it, it's fucking great.
Cool. I was sorry, Slim. I know you're getting ready to ask a question, but I was going to ask too, like, is it important to have a manager for that kind of stuff, or can you just pursue that on your own?
You can get anything if you have like good relationships and people know you without a manager. I mean, it's rare, but it's known to happen. Okay. But like having representation, I mean, there's a reason why everybody's like, how do I get an agent? How do I get a manager? How do I get this? How do I get that? Because it's important. These are industry people that talk with other industry people and then know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And they know how to pitch, and they know how to package. And my first manager, she basically was like, look, you take care of the art stuff, I'll take care of the business stuff. And I think that's one thing that's important. I mean, yes, you as an actor, as a performer, you should still treat yourself as a business, but what you're selling is your art.
Yeah.
And it's good to have. It's important. It's really vital. Unless you're like Bill Murray, to have somebody to advocate for you and know how to like navigate the landscape, because it's a treacherous, very political, in a lot of ways very dangerous, shitty landscape.
Yeah,
and it's a lot better than pro wrestling, I'll tell you that.
I was gonna ask, what's scarier? What's scarier?
Are you asking me?
I was gonna, but I got the answer, I think.
No, I'm fine with it. I've always said like acting, they're both so fucking competitive.
Yeah.
But
yes.
there's a big difference between the two, not just in like population, like the size of the pond. Like, because with wrestling, like you have this a smaller pond. You got all these promotions, but the problem is that landscape is constant. That it's constantly changing,
yes.
and whatever. But the one main thing, and I was telling this to a friend of mine a couple of years ago, the people that call the shots in wrestling, maybe not in the WWE so much, or at least to a lesser extent, but in a lot of like as you're making your way up and trying to make a name for yourself, they're basically like. How do I put this? They're basically like high school bullies, like trashy bullies that never grew up out of high school, but they have a lot of fucking money.
But yeah.
So you kind of have to navigate that sort of like groundwork and that layout where it's like, all right, well, you're there to wrestle, but you know what? All of a sudden you like walk in and the owner of the company or the guy that's got the promoter or the owner's ear. His girlfriend walked in as you were walking in, and you just said hey, but he didn't like the way that you said hey to his girlfriend, so he's going to badmouth you to the promoter, and the next thing you know, you're getting shit on, and you don't go back to that promotion for however long.
Yeah,
that's the sort of shit that you have to deal with.
Okay.
Fuck
in acting, it's a little bit different because there's tens, hundreds of thousands of actors in your in that market.
Yes.
And yes, that landscape is constantly changing, but there's a lot more opportunity, whether it's voice, TV. There's, I mean, look at stuff online, all this sort of shit that's out there.
Yeah.
The problem is that, you know what? Sometimes your look is in, sometimes your look is out. But the cool thing is that you're only competing with the people, hopefully, that are going after those same roles that you are.
Yes, I was just gonna say that.
Whereas in wrestling, you're competing with everybody on that roster, because if one person comes in, and let's say you come in, that probably means that somebody's got to go out.
I was gonna say, a smaller pond doesn't mean you're safer. Yeah, it could just be just that much more of a kick in the teeth. One after another.
I mean, I'll give it to wrestling. Wrestling prepared me for a lot. It gave me really, really thick skin.
Yes.
And it's taught me a lot. And I wouldn't be able to do a lot of things that I do, like on set or auditioning or in the industry, without it. I just wouldn't.
That's all.
That's
so.
Cool,
so you don't regret it. You don't regret doing any of that.
I don't regret it for the most part. There's a part of me that wishes I had explored acting earlier. I was in a movie like 2006, and I was just for lack of a better word, lack of a better phrase, my head was so far up wrestling's ass that nothing could get me out of it.
Yes.
And the same thing when I was in high school. My head was so far up football's ass that even when I have the drama coach, drama teacher coming up to me and listen, with some acting lessons, you could make a pretty solid actor. He could have sat there and told me that 12 times over, and grabbed me by the fucking head and be like, you need to be an actor. I'm telling you right now. I would have told him I'm done. Okay, cool.
You had your mindset. Yes.
Yeah, I'm like a bulldog. I'm very, very stubborn.
Yeah, I think everybody's like that to an extent. I could completely relate to that completely. I was gonna ask you too, Josh. We're running out of time, but you also know Kung Fu, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and kickboxing. Is that correct?
Yeah. I've done a little bit of training in all of it.
Wow.
And that's part of the reason why I got into wrestling, is because there's a physical aspect to me. Kung Fu is amazing, let me tell you. I should be going back. I haven't gone in about, I don't know, maybe 6, 7, 8 months or so, just because I've been busy and some financial situations. But Kung Fu is amazing.
Really?
It helped me out with a lot with acting too, in terms of staying calm and staying loose and breathing, and also because it's not just the physical stuff, it's the mental stuff.
There's a lot of mindfulness involved with
meditation.
Exactly.
Oh, mindfulness.
So, and the breathing and the qigong or the gong chi that you start and end with.
Learning to be in the present moment.
Building that.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's that's Kung Fu is awesome. Obviously kickboxing is a little bit more physical, and jiu-jitsu I've done a little bit of that here and there. But yeah, I try to stay physical. I work out still 3, 4, 5 times a week. So
Cool. That's awesome. I was gonna ask if you ever had to use that in a role.
I'd love to. I would absolutely love to. I'm hoping that my agent and one of my managers can get me a role where I can use it. But
push that, yeah.
Who knows? You never know. I mean, I could get one for next week. Who knows?
Cool.
So I mean, I kind of wanted to get into it because Marvel and DC and whatever. I mean, it's good to have on your resume. It's good to know.
Just in case.
You never know who might be looking.
You could be Captain America's stuntman one day.
I was thinking more like Wolverine, but you never know.
Yeah. Hopefully he'll get worked into that universe at some point. I wanted to bring up when you were talking about voiceovers and stuff, do you know who Johnny Young Bosch is?
No.
Okay.
No.
He played the Black Power Ranger after the
one, yeah.
He was the second Black Power Ranger back in the 90s, and I just saw him at I was at an anime convention, because now all he does is voiceovers, right? And he told, and somebody asked him hey Johnny, how did you get into voice acting? And he's like, that's a funny story, because he had no aspirations to be in voice acting all. He said it just happened. He said just he was reading a script for a movie, and somebody walked up to him and was like, hey, you should be an anime character, and he's like, okay, like whatever.
I love that Josh said nobody does.
Nobody ever was. So I just thought that was like really interesting, kind of compared to like what you were talking about earlier, where this dude that's who's known for like he's done a lot of like anime characters. Like I don't know if you know anything about anime. He's done a lot of like a lot of characters in anime, and he was just like, yeah, I never wanted to do it. Just somebody was like, you should try out for this, and he was like, okay, didn't even know what he was walking into and just did it. And like since then he had done a voice acting, but like it was just interesting because I don't think that was the answer the person who asked wanted. We're like, yeah, it just happened. You know?
I didn't want to do that shit.
It really,
I got
really
stuck
does.
doing
It's like, okay, well, I guess I'm, you know what? And then you're in the booth and you're getting paid for it, and you're like, holy shit, these guys are paying me just for my voice and the way I'm doing whatever. This is fucking amazing. I can come here in my fucking underwear, and nobody gives a shit.
Yes, Josh, I thank you so much for talking to us. You're amazing. We've run out of time.
Thank you guys for having me. I'd love to do it again.
Absolutely. Where can everybody find you?
What's that? You check me out online. You just go to my Twitter, which is at truejoshdaniels.com. Not true. At truejoshdaniels. And then you can go through like my website, and my Actors Access is on there, and links to my reel and all that stuff. But that's probably the best way to see what I'm all about. I'm fairly active. Maybe not as active as I could be or should be, but I'm pretty active on there. I'm very responsive. So if anybody wants to check me out, at truejoshdaniels on Twitter, please feel free. And as long as you're not like, some creep or some weirdo or fake account, I'll follow you back.
Awesome. Thank you, brother.
Thank you guys for having me. Hope to talk to you again soon.
Absolutely. Have a great one.
You too. Take care.
Later, Josh.
All right. Later.